every position, rest of season rankings. Obviously, the Hampton injury has screwed up our rankings, so we're going to talk about how we have these guys ranked now. We're going to start with the S tier here. We have CMC and JT. So far, the two most productive running backs in fantasy football up here, and Bijan Robinson. When Bijan's been playing, he's been unstoppable as well. In my opinion, it's these three running backs and then the field. All of them are winning you fantasy football games by themselves right now, and so all these guys are a clear cut above the rest of the running backs that we have starting in the A tier.
Yeah, so in the A tier, we're going to start with Jahmyr Gibbs. The reason Gibbs is not in the S tier is you have seen multiple weeks. Again, this is a tale as old as time at this point in the Lions offense, but with the snap share being down and him having, like 17 points, 16 points, which is great. Like his floor is still really high because his usage is solid, but you do always have that issue of like, hey, is David Montgomery, when they get a big lead, just going to run the ball for the entire second half and rack up points and have a 30 bomb? Compared to Gibbs just kind of having a pedestrian day for his standards. He hasn't been bad at all this year. He's been great, but that's going to be why he's in the A tier compared to these bell cows in the S tier that Avery just mentioned. We just trust in their more consistent ceiling than a guy like Gibbs. Then we got James Cook, who's coming off of a slow week. We're not really buying that this is going to be a trend where he's just going to fall off completely. Like he still belongs in the A tier and he deserves it because he gets so much usage there. Same with Saquon Barkley. We're kind of seeing his floor as well, which is not too bad of a floor, honestly. It's anywhere from like 10 to 15 points, and there's always a chance that he can pop off in an offense that is trying to kind of rediscover their identity after a slow start to the season offensively, even though they're 4-1. And then we got Achane and Jacobs at the tail end here in the A tier. Achane actually kind of salvaged his day with his receiving usage, but that's just kind of what Achane does. I mean, he's had a 10-target game this year. He's had a 9-target game. He had a 7-target game against Carolina. When he doesn't get a stupid amount of rushing work, he gets a crazy amount of receiving work. It's almost like game plan specific any given week. And since he's pretty much the only relevant running back there in that offense, and now there is no more Tyreek Hill, I would look for this receiving usage to be more consistent week in and week out, and for his floor to be as high as we've seen through the first 5 weeks of the season. Josh Jacobs as well is just, he's the motor of that offense. And as long as he's healthy, he has 30-plus point upside.
Moving down to the B tier, we'll start with Bucky. Bucky, I expect to probably miss one more week. They say he's day-to-day, but he has a shoulder injury and he has the ankle injury. And so, with Bucky, I'm not going to move him too far down rankings because when he's played, he's been dominant from a snap share perspective. He's been pretty good from a point scoring perspective as well. It's still the running back 15 in fantasy football after missing a week. And so with Bucky, you don't have the bye week till week 9. I'm going to keep him up here for now and hope it's just one more week that he misses at most. Quinshon Judkins continues to get about 55% snap share in that offense, continues to run the ball about 18 to 23 times a game, and continues to score 16 to 20 points a game. And so with Quinshon, I mean, this is a great flex option. It's a good RB2 option as well. I mean, the guy is the running back 20 on the season, and he really missed 2 games. And so, Quinshon looks great, and we're going to be aggressive ranking him. This is a guy who, even without a touchdown against Minnesota, had 18 points. And so Quinshon looks great rest of the season. Ashton Jeanty continued his stronger run of performances here with Indianapolis. He had 7 targets in this game and 5 receptions. That's what kind of jumps off the page, as he actually had 9 points in the receiving game. He actually outscored his rushing production with his receiving production in this game in full-point PPR leagues. And so with that, he has some matchups coming up. Tennessee, Kansas City, obviously a little bit tougher there from a run defense standpoint than the bye, but then you've got Jacksonville after that. You've got Dallas in week 11. And so with Jeanty, it's going to be a tougher schedule moving forward, but at the same time, he's the running back 12, and we've seen what he's capable of with his breakout game, so we have to rank him aggressively. Javonte Williams has been fantastic so far. He is the 3rd ranked running back from a production standpoint overall this season, and the 10th overall player in fantasy football this season. 20, 25, 12, 19, and 26 points so far for Javonte Williams. And then, Scott Schottenheimer comes out and says he is the bell cow and he's earned it. You see him getting 77, 80% snap share most weeks. I mean, Javonte Williams could be ranked higher than this. Like, we're not going to be shy about this anymore. He absolutely is a top 12. He is absolutely a running back 1 rest of the season, and he should be ranked like that. And so is Kyren Williams. Kyren Williams had his best game of the season, 31 points against San Francisco on 91% snap share. We finally saw that snap share that we wanted to see for Kyren Williams, and he had 10 targets. Like, look, I don't think that this utilization continues because they were literally motioning him into the slot and using him as a wide receiver in this game, which I've never seen them do with Kyren Williams. But if it were to continue, he would be like a top 5 running back rest of the season. I'm just telling you, like the glimpse of what we had against San Francisco, which San Francisco, by the way, they give up a ton of points to fantasy running backs. So you have that, but he has Baltimore in week 6. That should be another good game. And then Jacksonville in week 7. I mean, he has a bunch of good matchups coming up. And so you have to rank him aggressively rest of the season as well. So he's definitely belonging in this B tier with the rest of these low end running back 1 guys.
And we got the C tier starting with Derrick Henry. He continues to move down our boards quite a bit. I think we both are pretty much on the same page here. I mean, mid running back 2 rest of the season. In a situation that is just not boding well for an offense that has to really continue to produce at a very high level if they want to be in these games competitive and remain competitive, because this defense is in shambles at the moment. So Derrick Henry just not looking like he did last season. It is legitimately insane that Quinshon Judkins has become my unquestioned running back 1 in the Flock League, and Derrick Henry is looking to be an ugly start every single week. I did not think that was going to be how it turned out. Travis Etienne also going to be in this tier. He didn't do anything special against Kansas City. 8 points. The volume was still there. It honestly just didn't really look to be a game plan for Travis Etienne to just run the crap out of the ball and do anything crazy. But again, like he actually hasn't shown a crazy ceiling either. He hasn't even scored 20 points this season yet, which is why he's going to be in this D tier. If Lawrence looks as good as he did against Kansas City, they're going to continue to throw the ball more, and that might cap Etienne's production upside rest of the season. Hampton is going to find himself resting in this C tier, right around that like mid running back 2 range. You've obviously got some high upside guys here, some high floor guys in this range. Etienne, like we just mentioned. There's going to be a lot of debate in the coming weeks on like, hey, who do you prefer rest of the season? Travis Etienne, Derrick Henry, Breece Hall. I think every week from here on out that you get closer to Hampton returning, you start preferring him over every running back a little bit more and more until he gets back to the point where he was previously when he was healthy. This is an ankle injury that I think he'll be able to recover from and look just as good as he did previously once he's back healthy. They put him on IR for a reason, and it's to be cautious with this injury for a rookie running back. That's the sky is the limit for this guy long term. Breece Hall is also going to be here. Breece Hall, very similar to Etienne in my eyes, but in a worse offense, where I do think his floor is quite a bit lower, but he can rack up 100 plus yards from scrimmage any given week, and he'll look really, really solid doing that. But where are the touchdowns? He has 0 touchdowns this season. They just straight up hate using him in the red zone, and with Justin Fields rushing upside, that has taken away from some of the opportunity that Breece Hall has gotten in the red zone, because Fields will just take off and he'll run, or he'll check it down to Mason Taylor or some other no-name tight end or wide receiver at the 5-yard line or the goal line, and they'll score instead of Breece. Mm-hmm. They hate getting the ball to Breece Hall at the goal line. So this is something that I do think caps his ceiling for the rest of the season, which is why he will be in this tier with guys like Etienne and Henry.
Yeah, I also moved Scadaboo into that tier because realistically I'm taking him over every single player in the D tier.
I agree with you.
He's the only guy getting the volume out of those guys. He's the only guy consistently producing since he's been the starter there. He had 13 points, 14 points against New Orleans. And, it was a decent matchup for him, but since he's really become the guy, 13, 24, 13, and 14 points, he's the running back 17 on the year. And again, all of these guys have big questions in this tier I'm going to talk about here, D, and I just don't feel like Scadaboo has as many questions here. But Alvin Kamara, he has been one of the underperformers of the year so far in fantasy football. The running back 24 so far. Ugh. He's only gone over 15 points one time here.
And Kendre's usage is going up every week.
Every single week, Kendre Miller gets more usage. You've seen it more and more and more. He had his highest 15, 15, 27, 31, and then 39% snap share. It is just creeping up, and you might start, this where everybody wants to see the changing of the guard to RJ Harvey or Travion Henderson, where you're actually seeing it where people are ignoring it is with Kendre Miller in New Orleans. And it doesn't necessarily matter because it doesn't make Kendre Miller super fantasy relevant because the offense there's so bad and he's going to be super touchdown dependent, but it does hurt Alvin Kamara because the volume's not going to be there for him. Yep. So we'll have him here rest of the season. Kenneth Walker continues to put up 10 carries, 90 yards, and then Zach Charbonnet's 10 carries, 26 yards, and a touchdown every week. Every single week. It's Kenneth Walker's going to get you 9 points because he's going to have a ton of yards. He's going to look really good. He's going to break out some big plays, and then they're going to get in the red zone. They're going to be like, bench. And Charbonnet's going to come in. He's going to be inefficient, and then he's going to run in the end zone. Every week, that's what's going to happen. Mm-hmm. And so with Kenny Walker, so far this year, he's a running back 19, and he's averaged 8 yards per carry in a game, 4.2 yards per carry in a game, 8.6 yards per carry in a game. His best games are the ones he was freaking inefficient for. So, look, it's impossible to rank these guys right now. It's Charbonnet and Kenneth Walker. You still have to have Walker above Charbonnet, in our opinion. Yeah. Just because I think long-term he still projects much better. Chuba Hubbard, hoping he can come back this week, but might miss a couple weeks. When he does come back, I still think he's very capable. We basically just didn't really move him that much in our ranks this week. I don't think it's going to be like the Rico Dowdle show when Chuba Hubbard comes back. J.K. Dobbins, we've moved up our rankings quite a bit. We're higher on J.K. Dobbins now than everybody else because everybody else is anticipating the Harvey switch. We think that they're going to roll with J.K. Dobbins rest of the season. He's the running back 15 on the year. He's been consistently scoring around 15 points a game right now. So it's hard not to just rank Dobbins where he is, and that is as a mid running back 2. And we have him ranked as a low end running back 2. And so we're even being conservative there. When Jaylen Warren does come back, I mean, you've kind of seen what that Steelers team, I'm assuming he's going to be back after the bye week here, but you kind of seen with Kenneth Gainwell what he was doing while Jaylen Warren was out. And Warren's not going to have that much workload, but he was scoring 13, 17, and 13 points in the 3 weeks that he played before. He's just going to be a solid flex option for you, and maybe a little bit underrated if you can buy low on him. And then here we'll have Jaquarii Cross-Kamara. And expert consensus on the site has Jaquarii Cross-Kamara about 3 spots higher here. So still in the D tier, but higher. And look, like my thing with Jaquarii Cross-Kamara, as much as I love to see that, what he did in week 5, I just saw in week 4 Woody Marks do the exact same thing and then come out next week and not have the snap share. And so you really do need to see the utilization be at like 45% or more 2 weeks in a row before you move him way up rankings. Fact of the matter is he's only had 1 game like that so far this year. And, you know, his snap share and his usage has been all over the place. And the Commanders' offense and their running back timeshare is just a little bit difficult to figure out. And so we'll be a little bit more conservative with him for now, knowing full well that if he does get the snap share next week, he's probably going to jump up with Scadaboo in the C tier and leave behind all these guys who have major question marks on their resumes.
I don't know what new creative way I can talk about Travion Henderson at this point. Like, what way is going to help explain why Ramondre is continuing to get more opportunity and work over Henderson when he continually fumbles the freaking football and tries to lose them games, and yet they still gift him touchdowns? I need to stop talking about it, or I'm going to say something very not nice, but like Travion Henderson is in this F tier. You could put him at the bottom of this very extensive F tier if you wanted to, even lower. When is he going to get the work? When's he going to get the usage? I don't know. I hope it's soon. The Gibson ACL injury does help Henderson and his volume. You go from a 3-back committee to a 2-back committee, and then maybe that extra usage can help him kind of get into the flow of things and outwork Ramondre to a point where they're like, oh, we actually have a really good running back in this offense. Oh yeah, he's a 2nd-round pick. We'll see, but until then, got to prove it. David Montgomery, we still have. I have as a low-end running back 2, Avery as a mid running back 3. Not a big believer in the schedule over the next month. I think his floor is going to be as low as what we've already seen demonstrated this season. I don't know how often Detroit is going to have like a 20, 30-point lead over Kansas City, Tampa Bay, Minnesota, and Washington, and then Philly. Like, those are games where you probably want Gibbs to be on the field much more often than someone like Monty, who's not going to be like your passing down back that you want to give checkdowns to when you have to air it out to keep up with these very productive offenses that you're going up against. So Monty could, he's going to have touchdowns in some of these weeks. He'll have a couple of good days, but you're also going to probably see some pretty low floor weeks like you saw against Cleveland in week 4. We're also going to have Jordan Mason here. He continues to move down our rankings every single week as Aaron Jones gets closer and closer to coming back healthy, just because you're going to see less opportunity there consistently for him. DeAndre Swift is the running back 1 in that offense in Chicago. He's actually been like okay. It's nothing pretty. 13, 10, and 16 points and 9 points. He's at a pretty high floor just because he is getting the majority of the running back carries there. So coming off the bye against Washington, New Orleans, Baltimore, and Cincinnati, and the Giants and Minnesota, 4 of those 5 teams that I just mentioned have some of the worst run defenses in the league. So Swift could have, his classic pop-off stretch in the middle of the season coming very, very soon. Chase Brown on his way down. He's another bell cow there that just does not have as near as positive of an outlook as Swift does. Trey Benson will move him up incrementally every single week from here on out as he looks to come back from this IR stint probably in a few weeks. Woody Marks, we had to kind of come back down to earth with him. I don't think we really shot him up our boards too much because we wanted to see it consistently for us to move him up significantly. And lo and behold, he comes back and doesn't really do much. Chubb gets more work than him, and then they just pull him out of the field, or they pull him off the field because they were just dominating by the 4th quarter. Tony Pollard going to be at the tail end of this tier. Now Spears coming in, already getting work off of IR. Spears, I think, got like 30% snap share right out the gate, 25%. He had a few carries, nothing super crazy there. But again, you're just going to see this increase every single week. Look at that dramatic drop in snap share usage for Tony Pollard immediately upon Tyjae Spears coming back. immediately. He goes from 80, 90% to 70% right away. His volume on the lower end of what you've seen this season, and I think that's going to continue on for the rest of the year. I do think even though he got a touchdown this week against Arizona, you're going to see his floor drop quite a bit.
In the G tier, we're going to start with Ramondre Stevenson, and he's getting decent volume, and he has good red zone opportunity as well. The unfortunate thing with Ramondre is he's going to lose you 2 to 4 points per game on fumbles, and so it's kind of tough to plug him into your flex spots, knowing that you might have negative points coming your way when he inevitably fumbles the ball. Rashad White, we're going to rank here. I think it's probably only one more week with Rashad White as the starter.
Maybe two. Could be two.
It could be two, but then he's very hit or miss after that. Like, realistically, you don't feel, I hope it's two, man. You don't feel super good starting Rashad White when you've got Bucky there. Zach Charbonnet, I mean, look, with Sharbs, yeah, he does continue to get the touchdowns, but like he's the running back 40 on the season, 12 and 11. Like it looks like his ceiling is about 11 or 12 points right now.
Yep.
That's just not good enough. Like you just don't want to start that. We have Kareem Hunt in this tier. Like Kareem Hunt is the running back, I think 20 on the year. Running back 34. I misspoke, but had 18 points with 2 touchdowns. He's just the red zone guy in Kansas City, and so I think he has touchdown upside, but he's just that's kind of the same thing as Charbonnet. Like when you're thinking about it, it's a very similar role. RJ Harvey, we're continuing to move him down. I'm not sure that you're going to see the switch to Harvey this year like we wanted to. We thought it was coming. We were wrong about that. 20% snap share against Philadelphia compared to 41 the week before. His snap share had started to go up, and it actually went down in the last game. So he actually got 4 carries and 3 targets in that game, but still only 6 points. What we've seen is basically outside of the game against Cincinnati where they were up huge, he hasn't really been productive in double-digit land at all this year. Aaron Jones as well. Creeping back. I think he's coming back in 2 weeks at this point. They've got a bye, and then they've got Philly. I think they're going to do week 8. I think it's going to be Los Angeles, and week 8 is when they're expecting him to come back. And so when he comes back, he's still going to be very hit or miss, in my opinion. And then last guy in the G tier, Rico Dowdle. And Dowdle, we continue to move up. I have him as my running back 36 rest of the season. Again, I do think he's cutting into Chuba's workload, but realistically, I think Chuba's still going to be the more productive guy there. In the H tier, just a bunch of guys here. Tootin, you don't really want to start him. Michael Carter, you do want to start him, but you probably only have 3 more weeks at most of him, and he's still a shaky starter guy on a bad offense that we just don't really know about.
He's not efficient. He's just getting volume.
Exactly. Tyron Tracy, still not back yet. Nick Chubb, kind of gotten a lot of his carries taken away from Woody Marks there. Gainwell's got Warren coming back. Pacheco still sucks. And then the Chargers running backs here, Kamani Vidal and Hassan Haskins. You don't know which one it's going to be. Vidal looked better when he was on the field. Haskins is a Michigan guy and played with Harbaugh. Haskins is the guy that was spelling Hampton when, Vidal was not coming on the field at all. And realistically, they might bring somebody else in, and they also might pass the ball 50 times a game. And so you have to give them some rest of season value, but realistically, not much. If you want to see our full rest of season rankings in all of their glory and also see our weekly rankings, see the expert average rankings, you can go and use our My Teams tool, plug your team in, see, hey, I rank 5th or I rank last rest of season for these rankings in my league. You can go use all those tools for free. I've got the link in the pinned comment. Just create an account with code DOMAIN. You don't have to pay anything. And you can use those tools to win your fantasy football leagues this year. So you can see all of our updated stuff on the site. Go use the site for free. We put it out there so you guys can use it. You also have a trade calculator and things like that. Let's go to wide receivers now. And we're going to start in the S tier, and the S tier remains unchanged because Puka had a modest 24 points this week. It was actually is Puka okay? Is Puka okay? 24.5 points. Like, is there something wrong with him? Only 12 targets, only 10 receptions, only 85 yards in this game for him.
Dang.
But he did have a touchdown.
Only a touchdown.
Only one touchdown. So to 24.5 points for Puka, who is putting together one of the best wide receiver seasons that we've ever seen. In the A tier, 3 guys this week. We expanded it a little bit because JSN continues to just kill, man.
He's so good.
He is so freaking good. Wide receiver 4 on the year. Absolutely just crushing it. 27 points against Tampa Bay. Him and Darnold, I also have to rank JSN higher because Darnold looks better and actually pretty good as well. And so from a rest of season standpoint, you feel very good about that. And then CeeDee Lamb. I think CeeDee's coming back this week. If he doesn't, fine. I'm still fine ranking him here, but I think CeeDee's coming back this week. And when he does come back, you're going to have him against Carolina. And then you're going to have him against Washington, Denver, Arizona. So a mixed bag there, but the Carolina matchup, especially this week, if he does come back, the 3 hours ago, he could return within 2 weeks. So again, I think it's coming this week or next week for sure. And when he does come back, he's a clear cut tier above the rest of these guys. In the
yeah,
B
with
tier,
that
in my
DAC
opinion.
volume, it's
going to be insane.
So,
yeah.
top of the B tier will be Justin Jefferson. He's really settled into his role. Honestly, he looks fine there. He's not getting has he even gotten a touchdown since the first couple of weeks? He salvaged his early weeks with JJ McCarthy before the injury. The touchdown against Chicago in week 1. Since then, nothing. But his volume has gone up quite a bit thanks to Carson Wentz, 22 and 19 points the last few weeks. He just doesn't have the upside, in our opinion, that a lot of these other, A-tier level wide receivers have. But it's still Justin Jefferson. He's going to be very efficient with his opportunity, his yardage, etc. If anybody's going to take a hit from when McCarthy's back healthy and playing, it's probably going to be Addison. Drake London and Odunze will be next year. They're just so steady. London had a little bit of a stint there where it was really, really rough. That Atlanta offense as a whole was really, really rough. Penix was really struggling, but now off the bye week and after a game where London really came into his own at 25 points, we're expecting that target volume to continue. Same with Odunze. He's the unquestioned wide receiver 1 for the Chicago Bears. He looks phenomenal. Nico Collins continues to be kind of flying under the radar, honestly, as productive as he's been. Only 6 and 5 targets the last few weeks, but 11 and 16 points. He's been in double digits for 4 straight weeks since the stinker against the Rams in week 1. He has been totally fine. 14, 22, 11, and 16. And no, he's not dropping, 30 plus points like you're used to seeing from him. But with Seattle, San Fran, Denver, Jacksonville, Tennessee, 5 weeks after the bye in week 6, I think he could have a few big weeks incoming, and it does look like Houston's offense is on the up. So we're going to continue to respect him here in the B tier. We're officially waving the white flag on an Emeka Egbuka regression call. It's not happening. Anyone who's expecting it to happen once Mike Evans comes back healthy is kidding themselves. Evans is going to take the hit, or Godwin, or both. It's not going to be Egbuka. Egbuka is the certified wide receiver one in that offense. He is elite. His volume and his efficiency is elite. His touchdown upside is elite. Everything about him is elite. He belongs comfortably in this B tier, no problem. He could end up, honestly, if he continues this once Evans comes back from his injury, you could see him find himself in the A tier as well if he just totally blows everybody else there out of the water. Jamar Chase, very hit or miss. Obviously, Jake Browning looks awful. We'll see when they bench Browning or bring in someone. That's a possibility, but you continue to have to respect him because of his upside that he showed in garbage time. Garrett Wilson, the garbage time king. We got to give him that label at this point. The Jets are like, we have a super sucky offense, no one outside of Breece Hall and Garrett Wilson. Justin Fields can't throw to the ball consistently to anyone not named Garrett Wilson. Let's not get the ball to Garrett Wilson until the fourth quarter when we're down by 20 points. And then every single week they start launching the ball to Garrett Wilson, throwing prayers. And what does he do? He brings him down because he's one of the best route runners and one of the best contested catch wide receivers in the NFL. And he just finds his way in the end zone weekly. I mean, the dude is averaging 18 plus points per game at the moment. I think that will continue as long as he stays healthy and is the only option there. So Rashee Rice going to be at the tail end of this B tier. We will move him up most likely every single week as he continues to or starts to, we would expect, produce at a very, very high level once he's back from this suspension. But I think this is where he's going to belong rest of the season now that he's, a week away from returning.
A little baby tier here for the C tier. Cortland Sutton continues to produce as wide receiver 1. He's great. Devontae Adams has been a little bit underwhelming, and his utilization has also been a little bit underwhelming, but it's still Devontae Adams, and he's still playing in a very good offense, and he's still very consistent in your flex play. He's a wide receiver 15 in the year. It's about where we have him in these rankings, right? And then Zay Flowers. Flowers actually put together a decent game with Cooper Rush, so when Lamar comes back, and as much as this team's going to pass the ball, I expect Flowers to be pretty good. He's a little bit of a buy low for me right now, and then maybe not even buy low, just a buy. But 5 targets, 5 receptions for 72 yards. Obviously had one big play that kind of skewed it, but when Lamar comes back with as bad as this defense is, I definitely think that they're going to throw the ball a lot, and I think he's going to benefit from that a lot. The D tier here I'll do as well. Ted McMillan continues to be an absolute beast on the field and just not be as productive from a fantasy football perspective. He's a wide receiver 25, and so his floor right now, he's performing at his floor, wide receiver 25. So we have him ranked at wide receiver 16 or 17. So we're just ranking him assuming that he's eventually going to start scoring a little bit more and actually have a touchdown in his NFL career. And once he does, he is going to be a mid wide receiver 2.
I mean, he had a great day this last week.
He did, but he's just still, he can't find the end zone, and the yardage isn't necessarily there. And so, look, T-Mac, a lot of people are really impatient with T-Mac right now, and I totally get it. Fact of the matter is, when you're actually watching his tape, he looks fantastic. I think the points are going to come. I think they're going to come. He had 13. It's not like he's not scoring anything. A.J. Brown continues to move down our rankings. Again, I'm not ready to give up on A.J. Brown, but I'm about ready to give up on A.J. Brown. At 7, he said 1 22-point game. Outside of that, 1, 7, 2, and 9-point games. He did have 8 targets, But it just seems like that offense and those receivers and Jalen Hurts and the offensive coordinator just cannot get on the same page right now. On the other hand, Deebo Samuel, I don't blame you if you want to move Deebo or move A.J. Brown for Deebo. Deebo's a wide receiver 7 this year. I mean, outside of one game, he's had 22, 17, 20, and 23 points. He's the anti-A.J. Brown in that aspect. So actually, I think comfortably, I do have Deebo ranked above him at this point. Nathan has Deebo ranked behind him. I would probably take Deebo over A.J. Brown at this point. Deebo's just good, and he just fits well in that offense, which is something that I was just so wrong about. I never saw that coming. Marvin Harrison Jr. is going to be in this tier, and he's got to be here because he's not been not productive, and there are times where you watch him use in that offense, and you're like, okay, they're going to use him. They figured it out, and he still had 13 points. He's the wide receiver 22 in the year, so it's about where we have him ranked, but realistically, I don't think his ceiling is much higher than that. George Pickens, again, we're a little bit lower on Pickens the rest of the season than everybody else just because, CD is going to come back, and George Pickens, I think, isn't going to be the wide receiver 6 the rest of the year, but you do have to respect him and put him in this tier. With the last guy in this tier is Jalen Waddle, and Waddle, I think, is a legitimate threat to be a high-end wide receiver 2 rest of the season. In his first game without Tyreek Hill, he puts on 23 points, and it is against Carolina, I'll give you that, but 9 targets, 6 receptions, just straight up. Like, I think I really think Jalen Waddle's still got it. He's only 26. I don't think that should be a hot take. But from just watching his tape, just watch his film and watch him run routes and tell me it's not just the deep stuff. I mean, he's winning routes all over the field. And they're just finding him more now because Tyreek isn't there. And I don't know why it took Tyreek being hurt to find Waddle like this, but if that's really what it took and that's really what happens, Waddle does have pretty high upside from a fantasy scoring output perspective the rest of the year. And so we're going to rank him here. I'll be more aggressive with Waddle than most people, and I have him as my wide receiver 19 right now, but definitely feeling pretty good about where we have him ranked.
So BTJ will be at the top of the F tier here. A week where he gets more volume, decent amount of opportunity, and 12 points. 6 targets, his volume is not going up. He's not finding the end zone. He did have 4 receptions for 80 yards. I mean, that's 20 yards per catch. This is, the BTJ that we know and love in terms of skill set, but not in terms of production. It's been pretty ugly. Seattle and the LA Rams, hopefully he can show that he has, a higher ceiling than this season, but it's just like, when is it going to come? I don't know. Xavier Worthy still looking solid as well. He didn't have a touchdown this week, but he still had the same amount of volume that he did the previous week coming off of this injury. With Rashee Rice coming back soon as well, I think that's just going to help him open up the field for him, have more big play upside and ability. Quentin Johnson does come back to earth against Washington with only, I think, 6, 7 points, something like that. Less target volume too, back down to 4 targets when he had 10 and 13 the weeks before. I will say up against Miami, the Colts, and Minnesota and Tennessee the next 4 weeks with no Amari and Hampton now, I do think this kind of changes QJ's outlook, at least in the short term while Hampton is out. We're willing to bet that Herbert is going to throw the ball 50 times before they give the ball to Vidal and Haskins 30 times. Right? That's just, I think that's not unreasonable to expect at this point with the way that we've seen some of these games unfold with Hampton in the offense, where there's let's not give the ball to Hampton, let's just keep throwing it. Chris Olave is just kind of really steady with his volume and his opportunity. I don't think he has the upside that a lot of guys in this tier are capable of having, like a BTJ, like a Worthy, like a QJ, but he is pretty safe. Honestly, it's a poor offense, but he is the number 1 option there, and he's going to get his own. Devonta Smith, very boom bust, very similar to A.J. Brown. He is going to be in the tier below, honestly. I'm pretty close to putting A.J. Brown and Devonta Smith in the same tier because Smith is just straight up and out producing A.J. Brown this season. And it's not pretty for either one of those guys because the volume isn't consistently good enough, and Goddard's playing really well. Saquon has kind of been lackluster. We'll see if they can kind of figure this offense out, but this is what you get from Devonta Smith in your flex every single week. A really, really good week that can win you a week, or a really, really bad one that could lose you one. Michael Pittman is kind of touchdown 15 to 18 points, or not touchdown, and he's upper single digits. He's not getting the crazy target volume that you've seen over the last few years, or that you saw back in 2023. But he still is productive and he looks solid there. He's very efficient with his opportunity. DK Metcalf, the number 1 option for Aaron Rodgers, finally came into his own overseas. We'll see if he can continue that on after the bye week.
Starting with the G tier here, we'll have J-Mo, continues to disappoint. He's going to have games where he has 20 plus points, and he's going to have games where he has 1 point. It's just a matter of, he's probably going to finish as a wide receiver 2 somewhere because he has all these big games. But good luck in the weeks you start him and he has 0 points for you. It's legitimately, his floor is the floor. His floor is the ground. It's bad. So with J-Mo, I mean, we have to continue to move him down. Mike Evans, hopefully, I haven't really heard anything about Mike Evans, but either way, you think about Mike Evans coming back. Like, Ibuka is the guy. He's probably going to come back in week 6 or 7, but I mean, it's a hamstring, and Ibuka really is the dude there. Ladd McConkey, we had as a sell this week, of course. We still are a little bit higher, I think. Actually, we are lower. Sorry, we are lower than everybody else on Ladd. Ladd's, wide receiver 26 for the rest of the experts on the Flock site. We have him as our wide receiver like 31. I mean, realistically, I don't know how much you can expect with Ladd, with Keenan getting that much target volume and QJ looking as good as he does. I don't think he's going to be a wide receiver 2 this year. We have him as a wide receiver 3. Ricky Pearsall, when he does come back, might have some upside, but again, he's been injured as well. Brock Purdy's been injured. So the situation's not great. Terry McLaurin, I still have hope that of all the guys in this tier, he could be the guy that jump up this year. I mean, there's nothing necessarily that's wrong with Terry. He just didn't play in training camp, and then he had an injury. If he can come back and get on the same page as Daniels, he is a guy still that could end up like in the F tier or the D tier because we know what he's capable of from a production standpoint. We just haven't seen it really come to fruition yet. Stephon Diggs is a big mover for us this week, and we have him ranked well above everybody else, but I don't know why you wouldn't. I mean, the last couple weeks for Stephon Diggs, he's kind of eased himself in as he's come back from the ACL, but now 16 and 24 points in weeks 4 and 5 for Stephon Diggs. I mean, he looks like Drake May's favorite target at the moment outside of maybe Hunter Henry, and so I think you have to kind of respect that and put him here. We've had to move Jacoby Myers down because Myers really just hasn't done anything. Like, as much as I love Myers, we got barked at for having him too low, and then after that 9, 7, and 7 points. I'd really like to see it from Myers here soon. He doesn't have a touchdown on the year yet.
Gino's really struggling too.
Gino sucks right now, just like straight up. Yeah. Jordan Addison continues to score points at the end of the game. Now, it wasn't garbage time at the end of this game because it was the game-winning touchdown, but it's still like, he kind of just waited until the last second and got his points in. But realistically, his ceiling is going to be completely determined by if J.J. McCarthy comes back soon or not, because that is going to be a completely different offense if he does. But as long as Wentz is playing, I think he does have some serious upside there. If Wentz were playing the whole year, I'd probably move him up a tier.
Yep, so would I.
Keenan Allen and T. Higgins, to kind of wrap it up here. Allen keeps getting the targets, and he's just consistent. In terms of this last game, he had 9 targets. He had 10 points on 58% snap share. The snap share is not there, but the production is. He's the wide receiver 14 on the year so far, just because he's consistent. And so you know what you're getting from him. T. Higgins, on the other hand, he did have a touchdown against Detroit, but that really salvaged his day. He had 7 targets, only caught 3 of them for 22 yards. He's a wide receiver 48 on the year. I mean, with T, again, his value and his upside just completely plummets without Joe Burrow there, to be honest with you. H tier.
Going to start with Chris Godwin. After a 10-target week, he didn't really do much this week, where Ibuka just lit it up, absolutely lit it up, and you're obviously worried about when Evans is going to come back, what it's going to look like in that room after Emeka Ibuka. Will it be more Godwin? Will it be more Evans? We'll see. DJ Moore, we won't move him up until we see it from him, until we see any production at all. He's not getting hardly any volume at all. Khalil Shakir is getting consistent volume, and honestly, he's kind of a guy that you can rely on in your flex. He's not going to win you a week generally, but he's probably not going to lose you a week. He did have a 2-pointer against the Jets, but with Atlanta and Carolina coming up with the bye week in between, I think he's going to be fine. He'll continue to be very reliable for Josh Allen. Calvin Ridley on the up a little bit. Wanted to show him a little respect after he had a productive game against Arizona, where really nobody there should have been productive, but they kind of got lucky in the fourth quarter. We'll see if Calvin Ridley can string together a couple of productive games with Cam Ward at the helm. Josh Downs has really benefited, honestly, from Alec Pierce being injured with that concussion. He had 8 targets against Vegas for 11 points. He really could be lower than this. He's had 3 single-digit games, only 2 11-point games. We haven't seen anything startable from Josh Downs actually at all. He honestly could be lower than this. Juwan Jennings and Matthew Golden, 2 guys that are pretty high upside, but their floor is so low. Golden's developmental. He's young. He's a rookie. Jennings banged up right now. And then Keon Coleman, same sort of story there with him. Just young. You saw a really, really nice high ceiling game week 1 with him, and you haven't really seen much since. And then we got the I tier, a bunch of guys that you're not comfortable starting, but if you have to with bye weeks, cross your fingers. Jerry Jeudy with Dylan Gabriel, maybe he can do something. He didn't last week. Darnell Mooney does have that hamstring injury. They said they don't expect him to miss time. We'll see if he can start this week coming off the bye week. He has some big play upside. Cooper Kupp with Darnold playing as well as he does. Cooper Kupp can have some productive weeks as well. Rashid Shaheed coming off a 21-pointer. He's, very touchdown or bust, though he did get a good amount of target volume last week because they were down a lot. Travis Hunter showed some good flashes as an athlete, but the volume isn't there. Alec Manor, same thing. Not enough volume is there for him to be super highly productive. And then Tillman and Ayuk will be at the tail end of this year.
Let's do tight ends now. I'll just do the whole tight end list here. The story of tight ends is if you have one of these 4 guys in the S tier here, McBride, Bowers, Ferguson, or Warren, you still have a distinct advantage. Fact of the matter is, Bowers, we're just kind of projecting here because he hasn't really been an advantage for you so far this year, but if he does get healthy, I think he could be. McBride, Ferguson, and Warren, on the other hand, have been advantages for you, and so those are the guys that if you have them, you have one of the best tight ends in fantasy football. The A tier kind of applies to that as well. You could argue to put Tucker Kraft in that tier as well, and I wouldn't be necessarily opposed to it. With Kraft, it's just a matter of if he kind of continues his run of scoring some touchdowns, but Kraft has been great. Kittle's going to be coming back soon. He's obviously a game changer. We have Laporta in this tier still. Nathan has him ranked at 6. I have him ranked at 8. Like, he had a good game, but we have him as a sell candidate. And Travis Kelce actually continues to have a fairly good year. He's just consistent. He had 19 points against Jacksonville, 8 targets, 7 receptions, and a touchdown. The tight end 6 so far in the year. And so those guys are awesome. In the B tier, we're going to have really 2 big tiers in the B tier and the C tier. These B tier guys have kind of separated themselves from the guys in the C tier. Goddard is a top 10 tight end on the season. Kyle Pitts continues to play well. Kincaid has kind of stepped into his own a little bit. He had one of his best games of his career the other night, and so maybe he's finally got it clicking. I'll believe it. I'll believe it when I see it more. TJ Hawkinson with Wentz is better, but with McCarthy, he's going to go down in stock. Hunter Henry's great, and he's been consistent this year. Obviously, no touchdown this week for him, but realistically, with Henry, you feel more comfortable starting him than a lot of guys, like I said, in the tiers below him. But he had 6 points this last week, so a little bit more of a modest game, but he still had 4 targets, 2 receptions. He's not going to lose you a week, probably, is kind of my stance on that. Harold Fannin still has touchdown upside. You saw it this last week, and then Mark Andrews as well, kind of hit or miss, but he does have touchdown upside as well. It's a team that's going to pass the ball a lot. The C tier, guys like Darren Waller. We're not going to move Darren Waller up too far. I know he's had 2 good games, but y'all, I'm telling you, this man cannot stay healthy. So we can't be super aggressive telling you to go get Darren Waller.
We're talking about Waller now, this late, because he was injured before he finally came back healthy.
just trust us on this one. Waller's great, and if you have him, start him while you can. But we're not rest of season. He's not going to last rest of season. If he does, I'll eat my words. Waller, Njoku, Juwan Johnson, Mason Taylor, Evan Ingram, Brenton Strange, Zach Ertz, AJ Barner, and Theo Johnson are all guys that you can kind of plug in right now. That's really what they are. They're guys you can kind of plug in. If you want to put Waller in the B tier, go for it. I better not see people crying about Waller. That's all I'll say. In the D tier, guys, you don't want to start. But they have upside rest of the season, quarterbacks.
So we'll start with Josh Allen in the S tier alone. Josh Allen, dude, even the guy that you think has the biggest competitive advantage over any other quarterback ever is outproduced yet again by some passing QBs like Mahomes and Baker Mayfield this week. Every 38 pointer that he gets against Baltimore, he does have some lower games, some less productive games, like 11 points against the Jets. And he's been in the low 20s for 3 straight weeks, nothing like elite level that you couldn't get out of freaking Dak Prescott and Matt Stafford, literally.
Yep.
But he is going to be in the S tier because his upside is unmatched. Jalen Hurts, Lamar Jackson, Daniels, Mahomes, and Baker are all going to be the A tier here. We now have Mahomes and Baker in this tier with all these other rushing QBs because guess what? They're outproducing all of them. Lamar Jackson is hurt. Who knows if he'll be hobbled when he comes back healthy. He's probably going to miss another week. Then they'll go into the bye. Then he'll be back after that. Jaden Daniels has even before the injury, you're not seeing the upside that you saw last season. And we'll give him his respect and put him in the A tier because he's still a rushing QB. But we've got to see it, guys. Mahomes and Baker are 2 of the best bang for your buck quarterbacks that you got in fantasy football this year because you spent half the price that it costs to get Daniels or Hurts or Lamar or even Allen in your fantasy football drafts. So those guys absolutely belong in the A tier. B tier, you've got rushing guys in May and Fields on the bookends here in this tier. They've both shown some nice upside, but their floors are both respectively pretty low because Fields just sucks, and May's passing volume, you've seen a 17 attempt passing game like the previous week before the Buffalo game. So that does lower his floor a little bit. Caleb Williams and Dak Prescott also. Caleb Williams just has great weapons around him. Dak Prescott is one of the best passing QBs in the league this year, just in terms of volume straight up. C tier, you've got some pocket passers in Herbert, Goff, Nix, and Daniel Jones. They're a little more shaky week in and week out, kind of some low floor guys. And then Kyler Murray, Love, Purdy, and Dart and Stafford all going to be in the D tier together. Murray continues to move down our rankings. Love kind of staying so steady. Purdy only down because he's been injured. When he's back healthy, his volume is still good enough for him to be productive. Jackson Dart has rushing upside. Stafford has Puka freaking Nakua, who's the best wide receiver in the NFL. Stafford looks as good as he's ever looked before. And then the F tier, a bunch of streamable guys here. I will just mention a couple here, though. Sam Darnold on the up. He's looking really solid with his passing volume. Lawrence, after a 27-pointer, could be on the up if he continues this consistently. And that's going to be about it. We're ending with Cam Ward because he has some rushing upside and capability, but nobody here in the F tier you really want to start on a weekly basis.
Do us a huge favor. If you enjoy the rest of season rankings, drop a like for us. Make sure you subscribe. Feel free to let us know in the comments who we have too high, who we have too low, respectfully, of course. But we appreciate you guys jumping in. Again, use our free tools. I got the link in the comments. Create an account and get our rankings, get our My Teams tool, all that. We appreciate you guys. Hope you're doing well in fantasy football, and we'll see you here with the video tomorrow.